So then what do we start to do? We wanted to expand. There was other things that were becoming really popular in the market, and there was buzzwords. And I think that's something that Kevin and I talk about all the time. Hey, have you heard about this? Have you talked about that? What are we going to? Humic acids, fulvic acids, kelp, amino acids. Seems like real common phrases, but you and I talk about it all the time. We're like, well, we can put this with this and tweak this a little bit, and this is what we come up with. So that's kind of how we built the line, don't you think, Kevin? We talk about it.
Those buzzwords are, they come and go, and sometimes people think one way about it, and then they try a different product and they think a different way about it. And it's kind of cyclical. You'll get the kelp people, then you get the humate people, then you get the amino acids, and they're like, we tried that, So there's a lot of different formulations out there, and people are always reinventing stuff.
Well, and I think that's why when you look at and I call these collectively the Gravid Liquid Enhanced portfolio, they're the products that have a little something else in there. There's something else in the formulation to help improve the overall performance of that formulation. And like if you talk about these words, you know what the new one is? Peptide. Everybody talks about, I need a peptide. Well, what is a peptide? 2 or more amino acids linked in a chain. So we have amino acid formulation. We talk about that, but that's kind of the new buzzword right now is peptides. So the first one I want to talk about is we'll talk about some of the ones that have kelp in them, and Gravity Amp. And Gravity Amp is one of those products that when you have the situation where you need to generate some root mass, it's an 827-2. And broad spectrum label, lots. And that's another thing that we've done is we're comfortable at a broad range of rates for these products. So you'll see ranges of rates. Think about the more frequent you apply the products, you're kind of at the lower end of the rate. If you're going to have infrequent, you need to get a month, you need to get 5 weeks because that's your labor schedule that you can work with. Then we have higher rates on the label. Another great thing that we've done is we've put programs together where we tie a couple of Gravity products. So one that's near and dear to us, and that would be PGS. We do a lot of programs, both turf and ornamental, where we put PGS with AMP. And I know we've done a lot of work, and you've done a lot of work with the two products. We have great results with the two, and there's a synergy between those two products.
Yeah, turf and ornamental, drenching, spraying, at seeding during times of stress. These products work very well together.
Very well. Very well. Great combination. And the other thing that, again, when I talked about that enhancement of our product line, where we've also with this product, it's not just an NPK. It has some kelp in it. It has some humic acids in it. There's other things in the formulation to help improve the overall performance of AMP.
Talking about kelp, let's talk about the one that's called kelp, Gravity L Kelp Plus. What do you like about this one? There are some things that make it different from some of the other products in the market.
Absolutely. Two things. First two things. It's incredibly clean. And when you look at it in the jug, you're like, wow, that's a very clean liquid. Depending on how they process the kelp can be very, have some particulate, have some green sludge in the jug, have an odor like the ocean. It can smell like salty, dead fish. So the way that we've built our product is it's a kelp that has no odor. It's almost clear. It's got kind of a lightish green look to it, still very high concentration because we've processed it so that it's clean. And it's also not our normal. Majority of kelps come from the Nova Scotia area. We're actually getting this kelp from South Africa. So it is a unique form, and it is better at helping to facilitate, has higher concentrations than some of those naturally occurring plant hormones. One of the reasons why we use so much kelp in our programs. That's what we're trying to get. What
are you getting out of kelp? Like, what are all the different components that somebody could like, yeah, you know what? I think I do need to try a kelp product.
Sure. I mean, you're going to get improved root mass because you have those plant hormones. You have those cytokinins in the formulation. We have those in other formulations. One of the components of our Gravity PGS is a cytokinin in a synthetic form. So you get that. You get colloidal minerals, and you get other plant byproducts that help to increase growth, especially root mass. They help to decrease stress. So if we have areas that are constantly under stress, we can utilize kelp on a natural form to help try to relieve the stress of that, whether it's turf, whether it's ornamentals, but it's a great stress relief product.
And we've got one other product that contains kelp. This one is got to be your favorite product, the humic-based product.
I use it in so many programs in so many different ways. Some of the unique things about Gravity L humic base. One, it was a product that we had started utilizing from another product line, and I really like the performance. It's unique over some of your humic acids, other humic acids, because it is a humic acid, humic and fulvic acid liquid, and it has some kelp, and it also has some micronutrients. So for people that want some broad spectrum product performance, we get that out of humic base because we have 3 different categories basically in the product. So same thing for that. That is one of the products that I consistently add to 2800. I mean, 2800 with humic base, and I like to throw some biology in, so some mycorrhiza. That's one of my ornamental transplant programs. I found that when customers utilize that program and large landscape construction companies, we drench everything as soon as it goes in the ground with those 4 products, and always some PGS, because who doesn't want more root mass when we're trying to establish ornamentals? And again, I'm here where it's dry, it's hot in the summer, we have low water, we have poor clay soils. So trying to establish ornamentals and all this new construction that I'm experiencing in Colorado is really hard to do. So we build a program, and we see a drastic decrease in the mortality those first 2 years. A little behind the scenes about lawn care is that many lawn care construction companies, they have to guarantee those trees for 2 years. So you got to get that tree to the 2-year finish line. If it dies or it doesn't establish correctly, then you have to go back and replace it. That's part of the contract for the construction. So having a good program for drenching at the start with those 4 products helps to get that to the finish line, basically.
So we've talked about buzzwords. I think humic products in general have been in that category for some time now. What do you say to somebody who's never tried a humic product before? Like maybe they're on the fence about it. Well, what's the key, points to get across?
One of the things about your humates is that they do so many things. They help with your cation exchange. So if you have high salts, they can help change the cation capacity in the soil. They help to flocculate the soil. So they help to break up that hard clay soil structure. And I've seen this many times where I'll be out working on a project where heavy, hard clay soils, you can barely get the probe in the ground. We start spraying, or we start, in a lot of cases, that injecting humic acids, and we start to flocculate that soil. We create a better soil structure. So all of a sudden, after doing that for a year to 2 years, we'll be able to put a probe into the ground. If we can put a probe into the ground, we can get more water into the ground. And then humic acids also do help because they're huge, long molecules with lots of exchange sites on them. So lots of negative sites all over them to grab onto the positive cations. So they do work somewhat like a natural chelating agent as well. And then the other thing that I like about humic base is also at a pH of about 3.5. So in our heavy alkaline water, heavy alkaline clay soils, that lower pH just overall helps us to get better overall nutrient performance.
This is going to be part of a program too, I'm assuming, where like you don't just go out one time with any of these kelp products. You need to repeat, make sure that you're keeping up with those cytokinins and other components of the kelp in the soil to make sure that the plant is staying healthy. So how often would you recommend going out with these products?
I mean, in low height of cut, I would go out, and a lot of people do bi-weekly programs. I think that works great. When we get up to a little higher height of cut, where we're working with fairway sports turf monthly, and then monthly, or I have a lot of guys that will go out in the landscape market every 6 weeks. So maybe we'll do some humates early on in the season in a granular form, or on our G Plus fertilizer for another way to get some humates, and then supplement with liquids when we're making spray applications, and just consistently putting them out. What I found is these are things that if you don't consistently put them out, you don't really see any performance increase. But if you do, then you start to see where all of a sudden you start to see the benefits. You start to see that better soil structure. You start to see the water getting down into the soil better because we have a better overall flocculation of the soil. So you got to be repetitive. And so I like to build them into programs using our liquids or using our new G Plus technology.
Hey, I got a slight mass tangent here for us. It's been a while since we've tangented on one of these podcasts. So homeowners, DIYers that want to get into liquid spraying, they've got a backpack, right?
Yep.
So they don't need a whole lot.
Sure.
We don't have too many products that are in small containers yet.
Right.
We're working through that process right now. What is somebody supposed to do during the winter in these northern states or in cold areas with their extra product that's left in the jug? You don't want it to freeze, I'm assuming.
Exactly. You do not want it to freeze. You separate it. Most times it will never go back into solution. So that's a problem. So that's where, what have we done? We have small containers of a couple of these products now. So I was talking to a customer. We have both the Humic L and also AMP that we've talked about in smaller containers. Great products. You could take those two products and you could grab a bag of a gravity soluble that we have a great soluble line, multiple products, different levels of nitrogen, different types of nitrogen, quick release, slow release, etc. And you could build a program very easily with these quarts. Now, the nice part about these quarts is that they're 32 ounces, obviously, and that's going to give you about 10,000 square feet. So 3 ounces per thousand on the average rate. So it's going to give you about 10,000 square feet. So when you look at a customer that, say, he's a homeowner, do-it-yourself guy, he wants the best lawn in the neighborhood. He wants to spray liquids and get the benefits of the kelp and the AMP and the humates and kelp and micros and the gravity Humic L. And he's got enough to do his yard 2 or 3 times. So you should be able to plan enough applications so there isn't any left over and you go in through winter not having to store any product. And I think that's why we're going to start to see, as more people get the message about having these liquids. And Kevin and I work on this all the time. Truth be known, we're trying to pinpoint what products should be in a small container. Myself, my opinion right now, probably, and we're going to talk about it in a few seconds here, El Camino. Try to get the benefits of the El Camino into that model, because then we can take those products and we can boost the performance. We can increase the performance of some really good solubles. So we don't have to worry about solubles. I got bags of 20 in my garage all the time that, so liquids, we got to store them correctly, but we're getting smaller containers. So you buy and you use, and then you don't have to worry about any settling or any damage to the product.
One more note on the quartz that we've got in Humic and AMP. These are tip and pours, so now we're eliminating the guesswork. Correct. Of how much am I actually putting in my backpack sprayer? You just
and that's something that maybe we need to at a later time do a little bit of a podcast about, how much area does a backpack cover? I got a new backpack, so I got an electric backpack. I'm all excited, but I haven't had anything to spray yet. So I'm like, well, sometime I'm going to need to spray something. But Dustin, we got one donated to us as a demo. So I got my new battery powered electric backpack.
You're gonna have your whole neighborhood bright green.
Oh, I'm just gonna start taking care of the new neighbors' yards now that I've moved. I'm gonna do mine, and along the sides, I'm gonna be like, oh, that guy. Hey, you want me to hit yours? Next thing you know, I'm doing the whole neighborhood.
Yep. All right. So you did kind of segue us into our next topic, which is another buzzword: amino acids. This is a newer category for us. We've got some really, really fun products that are new within the last year that we want to talk about. Let's start with El Camino.
Can I give just some brief? What are the
Tell us about amino acids? Yeah.
What are the powers of amino acids? They increase nutrient uptake. They support plant synthesis process. Plants creating more cells. They promote root growth and water retention. They act as a natural chelator, again, similar, like, because they're a bigger molecule, like the humic acids, and just improve the antioxidant production defenses in the plant. So really some, improving water, improving root mass, making the plant more defensive against other diseases and things that could potentially create damage to that plant. Those are a lot of things that are critical in growth, both ornamentals and turf.
Yeah, these are, things that people are talking about. How do I conserve water? How do I get my plants to survive through stressful situations? Amino acids can be a key component in a lot of those situations. So, um, our new favorite product because of the name, but it also has a great story and does a lot of beneficial
It
things, is
does.
Gravity El Camino.
Yep.
So
No.
what's the story with Gravity El Camino? How did we get to that product, and what do you see going forward with it?
So that was a product that I had a number of both ornamental applicators and some lawn care applicators that wanted a product that was organic based, so they could build it into some organic based programs. Started digging around in the market, found the company that manufactures El Camino, and started bringing in their product in their jug to start to really, do some research, look at the performance. Immediately, I started to see great performance. El Camino is a 3-1-1, so it does have some nitrogen and some phosphorus and potassium. It is a byproduct of the oil seed extraction industry. So they want the meal portion. They use soybeans. This is from rapeseed. They use all these different seeds and they extract out the goodies, but they want the meal, and that meal is utilized in all kinds of industries. When I started doing the research, and I couldn't believe how many places that was used as part of the production of many products. Well, along the way, then you end up with the liquid portion. So they screen off and concentrate the liquid portion from that oil seed extraction, and they end up with this amino acid formulation, because basically when they're doing that process, all the proteins in those seeds get broken down and you end up with these L amino acids, and they have to be the L amino acids. So Gravity El Camino. The other thing that you end up with is a bunch of calcium. So there's some calcium in El Camino, and you end up with that really clean, natural source. So what do you get out of El Camino? What's in it? What are the benefits? And one, you get NPK. You get some micros and minerals. So just like with the kelp we talked about earlier, where when we extract something, we get all these beneficial things that were inside the cell, and we get them out and we make them into a product. We get a bunch of organic compounds from this as we do this fermentation extraction of these oil seeds. And you basically get the amino acids, all L amino acids. There's 19 essential amino acids. There's 21 that the plant needs, and the plant can make many of these, but under stress, when they're not making enough energy, photosynthesis maybe isn't functioning correctly, you start to see where you need extra amino acids. So just like we take things that, yes, the body can make, but if I had a higher concentration, I'd be healthier and I'd be more likely to be able to withstand the stress. Then we add the amino acids. We also do get some vitamins along the way too. We get some B complex, D, and E vitamins along the way. And we're really starting to, there's research going on. They're starting to look at just exactly how these vitamins, that again are the same ones over there in my Flintstone. So, but they're trying to figure out how they improve overall plant health. So just a lot of things in El Camino that are beneficial in many aspects of the plant's growth. Now, I will tell you, when you look at the label, you're going to see a broad range of rates, and it's a little overwhelming. But the reason that the label has those very, very high rates is that there are organic growers that utilize this as their sole nutritional source, and they're injecting it and drenching their plants with it constantly because they're not using any synthetic-based fertilizers. So that's kind of where you see the increase in the rates on the label, because it is, once you look at the label the first time, I get calls about it all the time. Well, that's a big range. How do I start? Well, I have some parameters depending on what you're trying to do to help really get you started with a rate. But that high rate is because this product can be injected.
And you're not trying to say that everybody should be using this as the sole product, right? Or could somebody, maybe somebody that wants an organic only program, this is their option, you know?
It is. And what I've done is I built a couple, and this will kind of segue us into the next topic with amino acids. I built some really good organic lawn care programs. We're using the El Camino, obviously, get all the benefits, and then we use some humic L. Talked about kelp, humic acids, folic acids, human in general. They come from Leonardite shale, naturally occurring, dead plant material buried in the ground. So humates, kelp, amino acids. We then utilize we have a 1201. That's a protein hydrolysate that is, again, it's another way to extract nitrogen and nutrients from organic matter. They make soy based. There's all different ways to make these protein products. So that's a nitrogen source.
Yeah, 1201 is a soluble. Yeah,
it's a soluble. Correct. Yep. And then we add in some of our new tap in micronutrients to get the color. And so that's something that Kevin's probably worked on more than I have with our manufacturers. So you want to kind of give us a brief rundown of the tap in?
Yeah, tap-in's a great
name.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's my thing. I'm the idea guy when it comes to names, but tap-in's got some really, really cool parts to it. Basically, you're getting really small molecules, so you're getting faster and more uptake into the plant quicker, and you're going to see that response in the time improve, especially with something like the iron product, which is going to be our number one tap-in seller, I think. You also get non-staining, and you're getting, like I said, the quicker response. So these tap-in products have some very unique benefits, and I think people are going to like them. So, what have you seen with the tap-in? I mean,
and one of the things that immediately, came to mind when we started looking at these tap-in products, it was that low rates. And because of the low rates, they're very, very safe on seedlings and young cuttings. So when you're trying to you have a micronutrient deficiency, you worry about using other forms that may have a higher salt index. I brought that up earlier. And so because of that, then we have to be able to use small amounts, get the plants, get the deficiencies taken care of, and then slowly let it build up in the plant. So we got really low rates. That's another one of people call
low rates. It's going to be weird. People aren't going to be used to that.
They are. And so the iron one, like you mentioned, that was the one that I added into that organic program. And one of the things I've always struggled with these organic based programs is color. Because in the normal turf market, if we need color, we bust out 1200. We use microsurge, and we utilize those to get the turf color. And I obviously look behind Kevin, and that turf has some great color, really good color going on. Good lines, good color. That's what the customer wants. The tap-in products are great products. The size of the molecule, and I think that's the key. When people look at micronutrients, a lot of people don't realize some of our bigger chelated micronutrients, they're actually soil uptake. So we're putting them on as a foliar, but they're being washed off the leaf and taken up by the root system. These go right into the plant. They go right into the plant, and you get the response in a very short period of time. So really unique technology. And I think as customers start to become comfortable with these, we'll see that the other ones will also grow in volume. But right now, the iron it's the number one. The biggest part, obviously, because a lot of this goes out in lawn care. Again, going back to that tank mix, or they're making that herbicide, iron product, nitrogen source, maybe some potassium or phosphorus, depending on what they're trying to accomplish. But that's in a staining form. So this is going to be non-staining. Not staining concrete in landscape is one of the number one topics. I talk about it all the time. How can we not have to worry about damaging concrete when we're making our applications, both granulars and liquids?
So we got 4 tap-in products at the moment: iron, calcium, magnesium, manganese.
Mhm.
Iron's going to be the most popular for
By
obvious
far.
reasons. That's just something people use on a regular basis, and non-staining, like you said. The other 3, uh, not as used, but maybe soil test or a
Yeah.
tissue test comes up. Hey, you're deficient. Go
Mhm.
and put some tap-in out.
And it's going to get into the plant extremely, it's very rapid uptake. So you're going to get it in. You're going to start to address that deficiency immediately.
Yep. We do have another amino acid based product in our 38 special, which is a phosphite. This is a great product. There's different types of phosphites. You've got standard phosphites and you got stabilized phosphites. 38 special is a great stabilized phosphite. It's going to mix well in the tank with a lot of other elements, and you're not going to have that coagulating mess with gelling up or any of those issues. And you're going to get some really nice response with the turf especially. But Rob, what are your thoughts on 38 special and when somebody should use it? Different times of the year.
38 special is one of those products where the phosphites collectively as a group, there are phosphites that carry a fungicidal label. Ours does not. We're marketing it as a nutritional product because it is also a nutritional product. But the phosphites help to facilitate that plant defenses. And so when the plant's under stress, so if you were in an area where we had, say, high humidity, the disease pressure was up, maybe it wasn't, you don't have enough disease pressure or enough overall disease to actually have to make a fungicide application, utilizing 38 special, utilizing phosphites will help to lower that disease pressure and may get you through that time of the year without having to apply a fungicide. So we're in areas where maybe there's fungicide restrictions, or we're in areas where it's just not cost effective to apply fungicides, because those are, of all of our HIF categories, the most expensive per acre traditionally. So we have a way to use a nutritional product in the right form that's stabilized and also has the takeoff technology that is amino acid based technology to help facilitate nitrogen production and nitrogen usage in the plant. So when you do that, your plant's under stress. It tends to not be able to process nutrients, nitrogen specifically. So it can't make the proper amount of energy. It can't go through photosynthesis as efficiently. So this will help reduce the disease pressure, increase and lessen the stress, and then increase the nitrogen performance. So a good all-round product that helps us get through certain times of the year, especially in certain parts of the hot, humid part of the United States, that we can get through that time of the year and be able to not have to apply other products that maybe we don't have in the budget or we're restricted on using.
Yeah, on a variety of different plant materials too. We've done studies in the lab, just looking at disease control. We've also done studies on turf, and we've done studies with ornamental plants and seen great results against other fungicide products like Rob is talking about. But you're going to get the benefit of not having to pay as much.
Sure.
Obviously, great product.
Yeah, great product and multiple uses. One of the things that I've started to do is when I get into some ornamentals that are struggling, that increase in nitrogen performance and also that disease decrease of disease pressure. I've started to do some drenches with it as well, and I'm getting pretty good results. Customers are very happy because it is a phosphite, not a phosphate, so you don't see that phosphorus number on the label, but we are still getting some phosphorus into our program. It eventually converts over, and we do have some extra phosphorus out of the product.
38 special, great product. One of the others we've touched on a little bit, it's technically part of our Gravity liquid line, and we also have done some other podcasts on this. Gravity SLPGS.
Yeah.
There's no NPK in it, there's no nutritional value to it, but a great plant growth regulator, stimulant type of product. Compare well with any other products that we've mentioned, and does a great job at root growth. You can pair it with products for transplants and see shoot and flowering development. It's a great product at very low use rates as well.
Extremely low. One of the things that we've been doing some comparison, looking at other potentially similar products in the market, our concentrations of the IBA, the gibberellic acid, and the cytokinins is in many cases 10 times what some of these other comparable products have. So I just, it's funny we're talking about it because as again, it's spring and I'm coming out, I got my house plants. We all had to move. I'm going to get the pots ready for I gotta grow peppers, see how hot I can grow them. You know, it's here in Colorado, so I want angry little peppers. Yeah. I got my jug of PGS. I got some El Camino. I got some 20. So I'll start mixing up my little drench batch and I'll hit everything in the house, whether it's indoor or outdoor, the new turf that's around the house now, the plants, the ornamentals, everybody's getting a little PGS, 20, and El Camino in their program.
This PGS does carry a EPA registration as well,
yep.
And this means that we can verify that it's got the same levels of the PGRs in every batch that's made. Yep. That's why some of those kelp products that also contain PGRs do not have.
But the batches vary, so it's never going to give us a true concentration. They're in there. We just don't know how much based on that extraction. Similar to what the numbers are on many of the things in El Camino, because the concentrations change per batch. They're in there, but we don't label them like that because they could fluctuate a little bit.
Yeah. And side note with PGS, we also treat our seed with PGS, and we've got some really, really cool bags with our seed and PGS in them at this point. So shout out to Bruce Jump, and this is turf grass for those.
And with the PGS on seed, I mean, I have people, you know, especially with we use a lot of ryegrass here as just filling in areas. It germinates quickly. It takes blue a little bit longer to germinate and fill in. So we do a lot of blue rye blends or straight ryegrass. A lot of the guys use it for divot mix and tee boxes, those types of things. We get germination in 4 or 5 days. It's amazing. And it's because of the PGS. So you get germination, you get establishment, and we're able to grow more root mass. So that ryegrass sticks around. So great product. Really, really, really happy with the performance that we get out of PGS. And I mean, some of the, you know, we have that one photo, the guy's holding up a piece of turf type tall fescue and the roots are this long. Turf type tall fescue traditionally does not get that kind of root mass. So it's a great product, really versatile. We use it in turf, ornamentals, cuttings, establishment, you name it. Just a really good all-around product.
Yeah, lots of different ways to apply it too. We've had a lot of comments about PGS and hydro seeding recently, and you know, does a great job. Does the same thing that you would expect if you were to just go out and spray it over top.
You know, and really, I did some math for a hydro seeder, and one of these things these hydro seeders run into is in many cases, until there's germination, they don't get paid. So the customer holds back. You know, I hired you to seed, therefore, when you have germination, that's the conclusion of our contract. So adding some PGS, so I, you know, kind of show, oh, it's expensive, and but I said the rate's very low. So we figured out our cost per tank, and to get that quicker germination, to be able to get billing to the customer and get money back into his pocket, he's like, oh, it was a no-brainer then when I explained it correctly. But it did initially shock him, but over time, then he was able to understand that great add-on into his hydro seed mixes.
Yeah. So we've got a long list of liquid gravity products, and we got a complete list. We feel something for everybody.
Yeah,
in our
absolutely,
and lots of different combinations that you can mix up with all these different products. Is there anything you'd like to say to kind of wrap up our liquid gravity conversation?
No, I mean, the only other thing that I would like to also, you know, again mention is that because we play with these products all the time, Kevin and myself, Tyler, the other members of the proprietary team play with these products all the time. We've tested and they mix together. So if there's any that are an issue, we would let you know. So, you know, ask us questions if you're uncertain of a tank mix, but know that with the gravity liquids, especially, we have mixed these all together in multiple combinations. I have batches where I'm putting 5 different products to achieve different goals throughout the application. So they're very mixable. They're very mixable with other products. with other nutritional sources, with nitrogen, solubles, etc. So great, well-rounded, high-quality product line.
Yep. And be sure to reach out to our customer service team, producer Susie, Rob, myself, any Heritage local rep that you are in contact with if you have more questions on these and other Heritage products.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone.